Selena, I want you to tell us exactly how to build rich relationships.
So there's 3 parts to creating your rich network. So it's build, nurture, and activate. So phase 1, build, is getting really clear about who are the people that you want in your rich network. And the number one thing is you have to be clear on your goals. Because Jason, I don't know if you've ever been in this situation where you talk to someone and you're like, hey, what are you working on? Or how can I support you? What's coming up for you? And the person's like, I don't know, or let me get back to you, and they never do, right? And so you are someone that wants to give and support other people, but when people don't have that internal clarity and additionally cannot express what they need and want, then they're never going to, receive the riches from their rich network. And so step number 1 is you have to know, what are your goals? What are your dreams? What is important for you, right? So there's that. Once you know what your goals and dreams are, then you have to get clear on what are the rich relationships that matter most. And so I talk about 10 different types in the book. But let's say if you're starting a brand new business, if you're new to real estate, then you probably would really benefit from a mentor who can really show you the ropes and the shortcuts. Maybe you're in a place where your business is more like stable and you could benefit from promoters, people who are referral partners and can send people to you, or super connectors. Or maybe you're going through a really hard time and you need a confidant. So that the types of people depend on where you are in your business.
What would you suggest? Most of our people are the top real estate agents on the entire planet. We're lucky to have them as our listeners. So if I'm at the top of my game, what relationships am I looking for?
Yeah, I would say the key ones would be super connectors, gatekeepers, and promoters. So people that can unlock next level opportunities and get you into those, special rooms.
Love that. Okay, perfect. So I got to be clear on my goals. I got to be clear on my dreams. I have to know what's important to me. Then I need to define what relationships matter so that I can focus on those. What's next?
Exactly. Okay, so then once you have built that rich network, those initial connections, then you go into the nurture phase, because the reality is out of sight, out of mind. If you meet someone at a conference and you don't speak to them until 3 years later, or you get introduced to someone and it's like 2 years down the road, you're like, hi, it doesn't really feel like a warm connection. And Jason, what we don't want to do is only circle back to people when we need something from them, because then it feels transactional. But when you actually, right, it feels transactional. But when you take the time to maintain the connection, then people feel like, wow, like this person cares about me. They carved out time out of their schedule just to say hello. And so in the book, I talk about 6 different nurture strategies. But to keep it simple for today, I just want to highlight 2 very simple ones that are easy for people to do. So the first one is pinging. So pinging are these like light touch outreaches. It could be a quick text message. It could be a voice note saying that I'm thinking of you. So let's say if we were at a conference together, Jason, and we realize we have a mutual friend in common. We could take a picture and send a text message and say, hey, we're ears burning. We were both just raving about you and just recalling the last time we hung out together, right? Or maybe you come across a really amazing book or podcast or resource and you text it to someone. You're like, hey, I was thinking of you. I thought that could be valuable. Or maybe it's group updates where you have like an inner circle newsletter. And once a quarter, you're reaching out to your richest relationships and saying, hey, this is what's happening in my world. You're an important person to me. I want to do a better job of staying in touch. And so I'm going to be sending these quarterly updates. But there is some kind of contact, right? Where you're spending time to update them or just show that you're thinking of them. So that's one. And then I would say the second one is gatherings, right? Bringing people together. Because as you build your rich network, you're going to have multiple hundreds, multiple thousands of contacts. And it can feel very overwhelming to maintain all those relationships individually. And so if you're gathering people together, not only are you creating an amazing opportunity for someone, you're reconnecting, but you're also introducing them to all these other people and showing your leadership, right? And generosity. And so you can actually nurture, 100 relationships, 50 relationships. And if you have a big conference, maybe even 1,000 relationships at once through hosting the right kinds of gatherings.
Any tricks to gatherings? Like, do you have your 3 rules to a successful gathering kind of in your head? Like, I know I can screw anything up, so make me better at it.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think when it comes to gatherings, people want to know, well, who else is going to be there? And so you want to have some anchor names. So when I lived in New York City, I would bring together the media and entrepreneurs. And I would always try to lock in 2 to 3 high profile names, whether it's like, oh, we've got an editor from Oprah there and someone from the Today Show, or this really notable entrepreneur, because it kind of like sets the stage of who's going to be in the room. So having some anchor names. And I think it's also great to consider co-hosts. so that you're not the only one extending invitations. So even if you were going to do a small gathering, if you had 2 co-hosts, so there's 3 of you, and you each invite 2 people, you already have 9 people, and so that could be like a nice little gathering. And I guess this also comes from like my personal preference, but I believe that it's important to have good food at events. Like if people are hungry or they're like, they have to figure out where they get a beverage, like they're going to leave earlier. So you want to create like a nice environment where people are feeling nourished.
Love that. Makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah. And so these gatherings, they can be simple things like it could be, a walk and talk, right? You're combining fitness and friendship. It could be, an after work happy hour. It could be a movie night. It could be a book club. Like there's so many different kinds of gatherings, or maybe you're all going to a big conference together and there's a couple thousand people, but you organize like, a rooftop dinner party the night before. And one of the big ideas in my book is that one rich relationship is more valuable than 100 casual connections. So it's not about like feeling like I have to be in touch with everybody, but actually being really discerning about which relationships carry that energy of abundance and focusing on those relationships.
And I think that's one of the key ideas. You make the argument in the book, and I'm going to paraphrase, that it's not the number of contacts you make, it's the depth of the connection that you have. Mm-hmm. That's a kind of a big different way of thinking about it in real estate because, for a long time, it's been, well, how many people did you talk to today? You're kind of saying it's less about the number I talked to and more about the depth of what we talked about and how they felt about the interaction.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a piece of it. And then also there are some rich relationships that literally knowing that one person is like knowing 100 people. I am often organizing events and gathering people together, and I have a handful of super connectors that tend to connect me to the majority of my clients. Even when I had affiliate launches and we would have like 200 affiliates, there might be one affiliate that brings in 50% of the revenue compared to all of the others, right? Or if we're hosting an exclusive event, maybe there's one person that brings 30 VIPs and another person might struggle to even invite one person. And everyone's just different. They've got different skill sets. And so for real estate agents, there's probably people that are centers of influence in your local community that others respect. And those would be the relationships to invest in more deeply.
All right, this makes sense to me. So this is in the nurturing. Then I have to activate this. What does activate even mean?
So activate is actually letting your rich relationships know how they can help you and leaning on them for support. And so a lot of people are afraid to ask for help. They think if I ask someone for help, they might think I'm a taker. I might damage the relationship. Or they think, let me just wait until maybe 3 years from now when I really need something, and then I will ask. But here's the thing, psychologists have coined this term called the helper's high. And the reality is that people enjoy helping other people. They enjoy being a part of their journey and helping others win. Of course, there needs to be a foundation and a relationship first. We're going to want to help people that have already shown up for us, but it can actually strengthen a relationship versus weaken a relationship. That being said, you have to ask the right thing. If you ask for something that's really inappropriate and very difficult for someone to help you with, then that's going to be harder for them to show up for that. But there might be smaller things, and then you kind of lead up to bigger things.